Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, something a little different. It's straight to the apex, but not quite as we know it. This is a special, straight to the apex bonus episode. This was sent over. Little is known about this episode. We're all finding out together. But I'm assured there is special guests. Before we start, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Obviously the big one, share the podcast around. You got a friend, you got a family member, they're into the Formula One, send this podcast in their direction. They're going to be like, hey, that's awesome. Thanks. Right, let's find out what this one's all about. Here we go. This is CookieCast, straight to the apex, bonus edition.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Straight to the Apex podcast. This is Series 3. This is a bonus episode. For anyone watching, you might not recognise these two faces with me. It's not the usual suspects. I'm joined tonight by two guests. I've got Anna and Dean.
Hi, guys.
Are you both okay?
We are indeed.
Yeah,
we're all good. We're all good.
Excellent. So we're here to talk Formula One. People that aren't watching and listening will see we have a Ferrari fan and a Red Bull fan. I'm guessing Max, not Sergio Perez.
I do like Sergio. He reminds me of my dad, but Max definitely.
Right, okay. I don't know where to go with that one. I'm going to skip over that. So, how long have you guys been into Formula One? So, whoever wants to go first.
For myself, I'd say since about 1998, 1999 season. So I would have been about 5 or 6. My older brother was a Mick Hakkinen McLaren Mercedes fan at the time. And obviously I kind of always followed any football team that was with the colour red, and then fall in love with a Ferrari and Michael Schumacher. And the rest is now history. But yeah, Ferrari through and through.
Can I ask what football team in red you support?
Liverpool.
Right, okay.
If you're a United fan, I'm sorry, mate, but Mercedes and Manchester United is not a good mixture.
Hey, you've called me out there. I am a Manchester United fan.
Somebody has to.
Well, exactly. And at the minute, I'm embarrassed to say that I'm a Man United fan. So what about you, Anna? What got you into Formula One?
Well, to be honest, it's not been like a lifelong thing, but obviously since being with Dean, he did make me watch it every weekend. So it's kind of one of those things where I did have to get involved, whether I kind of liked it or not. When we first started, I did actually support Mercedes, and I was a Hamilton fan because it was the only person I'd heard of.
Right, okay, fair enough.
But then after starting to learn about it, getting to know about it, then I decided to change
allegiances. Yeah, I think our first time at Silverstone was 2019, and that's when you kind of jumped on to Mercedes and Hamilton.
Yeah.
I'd say you kind of started to watch it 2018. I think it was the Baku race where Ricciardo went into the back of Max Verstappen, turn 1.
Yeah.
I'd say that was probably one of your first races, actually, or certainly around that period of the season. No, she's unfortunately Red Bull.
I mean, Red Bull at the time, was it Daniel Ricciardo that got you into Red Bull, or has it always been Max?
You're not going to like this answer.
Oh, God.
It was Christian Horner.
Oh, no.
No. I know.
Why? Can I ask why? Right. So I don't know. You've probably never listened to us before, but we slag Christian Horner off quite a lot.
Christian Horner.
Now, allegedly, let's we're not getting arrested. It's alleged, apparently. Christian Horner. Discuss. Why? Why?
Oh, no, you're not going to like this either, but just something about him. It's
the aura.
It's not the aura.
Women are drawn to him. I don't know why, but obviously, right? Okay, I mean, everyone different. Okay, so Katie tells me you guys have visited quite a lot of races. You've been to a lot of tracks. So, give us an example of what tracks you've been to. What are your favourites? What's your standouts?
We've done 3 at the moment. We've done Silverstone twice, Hungaroring once, and obviously we're keen to Abu Dhabi next week as well. I think Hungaroring, fantastic, great racetrack. Silverstone, again, absolutely fantastic racetrack. The atmosphere there is just completely out of this world. Though it's just got a really, really good vibe about it. Carnival theme. We stayed at the Woodlands campsite.
Yeah.
So we pitch up on the Wednesday, and then like I said on the Thursday and so on forth to the Sunday evening. There's the Petrolhead pub. There's bands on. There's meet and greets. There's loads going on, and everyone's just got a real good buzz and a really good vibe. And the 2 times we have done Silverstone, it's been absolutely spot on. And like I say, everybody there has just been so friendly and so fun. But to be honest with you, I mean, we like them both in different ways, really. So, yeah.
Well, I suppose you've been quite lucky with Silverstone because the last few years have been really good races as well, haven't they? So that's kind of you've picked the weekend well. It's never really boring at Silverstone. It is always quite an exciting race. So
no, we tend to be situated at Vale Corps area. So we saw the Max Verstappen pirouette in the wet. That was directly right in front of us. Even with the Formula 2, I can't remember which drivers it was, but when they had that, well, if it wasn't for the halo, the driver would have died. That firsthand. So there's always plenty of action around that part of the track. Actually, as well, we was there with the rear end of Verstappen Vettel.
Yeah, maybe so.
I think that was 2019. That would have been our first season, actually.
Right.
So again, we've always been blessed with a little bit of action around there as well, which is always a beauty. And the Wan Yu Turn 1 upside down the roof.
To be fair, we wasn't at that area.
No, it wasn't. No.
We didn't know what was going on because when they red flag it, they don't tell you. They just
really?
There's just no cars coming around the tracks.
It
was like ringing your brother.
Yeah, there's a big screen in front of you, but and there's commentary, but you can only pick up so much of it, really, to be honest with you. So, but you could feel the tension in the air once it had happened. Everyone was like, "Bloody hell!" That's it's not a minor shunt. That it was obviously very serious, but thankfully came out all right.
Yeah. Is there any tracks you kind of want to visit or are planning on visiting in the future? Is there kind of one there? I mean, you as a Ferrari fan, Monza?
Monza, definitely 100% will be Monza in a couple of years. Singapore as well, though. Absolutely love Singapore. Great racetrack. Spa as well. To be honest with you, there's a lot of tracks. I'd say they're probably my top 3.
Yeah.
Would be Monza, Spa, Singapore, and Imola. Actually, we'll put an Imola in there as well.
To be fair, Imola's good track. Obviously, Red Bull Ring. I mean, is that a stupid question?
Let's go to Zandvoort.
Yeah, she wants Zandvoort as well, and that's one track I will never go to is Zandvoort.
No, I mean, I'm also a Hull KR fan, and they've just brought out a range of Amsterdam, like Holland things for the game next month, and I refuse to buy them because it looks like I'll be a Max Verstappen fan because it is bright orange. So I'm not buying it. I mean, I'll be brutally honest. I do like Max. I'm kind of hit and miss with him because sometimes he's a moaning git. But Brazil the other week, it's fantastic. He's a very good driver. So I do support your choice a little bit. But the fact that he chose from Hamilton to Max, I'm not having that at all.
They're good at moaning though, aren't they?
Pardon?
The birds are good at moaning.
Oh, I mean, let's be honest, this last 2 seasons since Drive to Survive, they're all on the radio moaning a lot more than probably when you was watching Dean, back when Schumacher was on. They're constant, like footballers, a lot of them.
Yeah, they are a little bit, babyish sometimes. They're tit for tat. I mean, I think the worst is Russell and Lando Norris, personally. Them two are unbelievably tit for tat. But I think they've always loved a good moan. I mean, Kimmy's always loved a good little bit of, verbal diarrhea down the microphone a few times, hasn't he? So
when he speaks, he doesn't say much, does he? But when he did speak on the radio, then yeah.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you with George Russell, and that's one of the reasons I will not support Mercedes when Lewis leaves, because I can't stand George Russell.
Likewise, we was only saying actually the Vegas Grand Prix when we watched it on Sunday morning. We were just saying obviously fair play to Russell in that race. He was running away with it, but we did say to each other, who would be your 2 or 3 most hated drivers, and Russell and Stroll definitely in that category. And then after that was kind of a bit like there's nobody really else. I mean, for me, a little bit of Hamilton. I mean, I can appreciate him as a driver. He's just too grateful all the time, unfortunately, which he just needs to curb that word a little bit. But
I mean, Lewis Hamilton on the track, massive fan. As soon as he leaves that track, can't stand him personally. So I'm not like a die. I totally kind of get that. Stroll, again, if you've ever listened to us or if you ever did, Lance Stroll gets ridiculed every single week because that man should never, ever, ever be behind the steering wheel of a Formula One car. It's only because he's paid for it.
He's the definition of a pay driver. 100% the definition of a pay driver.
Yeah.
Without Daddy's money, he would never be anywhere where he would be. I mean, Lawrence Stroll invested about $60 million into Prima when he was in Formula 3. It was a ridiculous amount of money anyway.
Yeah.
And given the best Formula 3 car to win the championship, and he somehow skips F2 to get to Formula 1. Well, come on. All of a sudden, Williams get 30 million quid to go and have him as a driver. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when a guy can't do a U-turn at Brazil and he ends up in the gravel getting beached, I mean, how has he passed his driving test? Never mind the super license.
Yeah, well, common sense didn't prevail. I mean, as you know, that gravel pit can suck you up at any time, let alone when it's absolutely chucked it down for 48 hours straight. It's boring as hell, and he had all that tarmac around him to turn around.
Yeah, no, useless. So when you're watching at home, are you the two that watch practice, quali, the race? Or you just watch quali in the race, or is it literally every session?
It's a weekend for us. So, say for example, Vegas is a bit difficult, but we will come in from work and watch it. But your more normal times, European tracks especially, or even like you say, when this weekend coming won't be too bad. But yeah, definitely is anyway. We definitely watch it live if we can. If not, catch up. But yeah, it's FP1, FP2 Friday, and then obviously practice 3 Saturday quality race, or even when it's the sprint as well. So we certainly make a full weekend of it for sure. The weekends are planned around the Formula 1, aren't they?
They really are.
Are they?
Yeah, completely.
Well, I think on our podcast, I think you might have to come on and do the practice roundup because none of us watch practice at all, and there's 3 of us that are Formula 1 fans. So, I mean, you can come on and do a 10-minute stint about practice, I think. What's your views on sprint weekends? Because that's always a bit of a hot topic for us. Are you a fan? I mean, obviously the format's changed this year. They've kind of put sprint and sprint quali together where it was a bit kind of to and fro last year. But what's your general kind of overall view of, especially 2 people that watch every session as well?
I think it's good and bad, and it's conflicted, isn't it? Because it's great, for example, with Hamilton in Brazil that was the race, wasn't it? But that weekend where, you can pick your way through the grid, it's extra bonus points, obviously, for the World Championship. But the other problem is there's too much jeopardy. You're not going to make a move into a corner for the sake of 2 points, for example. And I'm not too sure with it. Like I say, it breaks up the FP1, FP2, FP3. Fair enough. But I think it's a good idea, but maybe just needs some form of tweaking somehow. I'm not too sure how, but yeah. What do you think?
I would agree.
Yeah.
Like we've spoken about it before, and sometimes it's a bit like, oh, well, was there really any point in that? And I don't know. I don't know.
It's hard, isn't it? Because practice, like you say, practice is much of a muchness. It's nothing. They come out when they want. They do what they want. At least every session is kind of, they have to go out. They have to compete. I think the only thing that kind of bugs me about it is the cost cap era. Like last weekend, for example, obviously the crashes, and then you don't go out in the race because you haven't got that time. I know it was different with the race, quali being called off on the Saturday, but you can't kind of have all what you want. So you can't have this tight budget cap. You can't then have sprint races. Do you know what I mean? You're putting extra sessions on. And I also think the tyres ruin it for me because it's so dependent on tyres, Formula One now. It's kind of a bugbear of mine that before you had Pirelli, Bridgestone, and the tyres like weather, refueling. Now the tyres are made of chewing gum, and it's kind of you push for 2 laps and that's it. Or you've got almost like a heating engineer because you've got to manage car temperatures, tyre temperatures. It's just ridiculous.
Leclerc, well, that was Leclerc all over in Vegas, wasn't it? You know, he made a bit of a push onto Russell, couldn't get him around, and next thing you know, his tyres are absolutely shot.
Yeah,
and he's gone back. You know, you almost thought he had an engine problem or something. His tyres had lost so much grip. Yeah, they are heavily dependent on the Pirelli tyres at the moment. I think far too heavy on it, to be honest with you. I mean, I think there's a way you can safely refuel. There must be some form of way to spice it up. I mean, you know, you go back 15 odd years ago, whatever, when the refueling was in, and earlier than that, you know, you didn't know what fuel, you know, strategies they was running.
no,
You know, and you know, you win some, you lose some with it. But I think at the moment, like you say, you know, if it's dry and it's perfect conditions, like for example, somewhere in Europe, it becomes a procession sometimes. Once they've absolutely sussed out FP1, FP2, FP3, and that weather is just not changed all weekend. Different when it's rained, fair enough. Or if it's new tarmac, asphalt. But yeah, if it is a bit of a, yeah, it's saying it's something that could be due to be spiced up a little bit.
I mean, I suppose with drivers on the grid, I mean, Nicholas Latifi's gone now, thank God. But I think with drivers on the grid like him and Lance Stroll, maybe they just can't trust them to refuel. Because what would Lance Stroll do if he had to refuel?
Well, I mean, look back. What was it, Felipe Massa in Singapore when he took out the fuel line with him down? Or whatever, and, you know, I think they've all done it before, haven't they? But yeah, it's. I don't know. I just think it does. As much as I love the sport, and I'll always love the sport, it just needs that little bit more to spice it up. It really does. Just that bit more jeopardy. Yeah. Because the thing is, well, the engines are so good now and so finely tuned, and gearboxes. I mean, Gasly having a blowout at Las Vegas again. You don't see that anymore very often. I said this to him. You know, again going back 15, 20 years ago, you used to see engine blowouts all the time.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I mean, especially with Renault engines. You know, they used to go. Like you say, it's very rare for an engine to go near the end of the season because normally they've nailed reliability, haven't they? So it's But so, what would you say over the years has been something like standout moments if you watch Formula One? Has there been like, obviously, probably Anna's going to say the Vettel Hamilton like Abu Dhabi race by any chance?
Yeah, I mean, in recent memory, that's definitely one, isn't it? I mean, I don't think anybody can get that out of their mind, or even that season alone, Monza. You know, I remember watching that in London, and that was certainly one standout. I mean, for me, going back a bit more old school, would be standout moment would be Belgium. Was it '98 or something after turn one when it was wheels galore and it was an absolute utter total pile up.
Yeah.
Same as Barrichello, Michael Schumacher crossing the start finish line together in Indianapolis. I think that would have been 2003, 2004. It was in America. I'm sure it was in America.
Yeah, it would have been Indianapolis back then. Yeah.
So, I mean, that stand out. And again, all the multiple world championships that happened there and all the race wins. I'm trying to think what other. I mean, to be fair, there's so much. It's unbelievable.
Well, I think about crashes because I do love a good crash.
Yeah. To be fair, so
Roman Grosjean, obviously.
Which one? Sorry?
Roman Grosjean when he was in the barrier.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I shouldn't say like it was really good, but it was a good crash.
It was very intense.
If you're going to do it, you did it properly, didn't he?
Yeah, he really did. Really.
Yeah.
Max trying to run over Lewis's head. That's always a
good Monza, yeah, definitely. But no, there's been an awful lot of standout moments. Braun winning the 2009 Drivers' Championship with Jenson Button.
Yeah.
I mean, him winning in Brazil, I'll never forget that season when they had the double diffuser and all of a sudden you think, well, a team that's been bought for £1 with no sponsors are 2 seconds ahead. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, Jenson Button was so lucky that year.
He was.
But I mean, like Rosberg, Hamilton, that always springs to mind when they had the battle and obviously crashed in Spain.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
I think Alonso, when he was it Australia where he was upside down in the barrier?
Yeah, it was, yeah. That was McLaren, wasn't it?
That was McLaren, yeah. So
Yeah,
I mean, I'm with you. I do like a good crash because it kind of adds to it. But on crashes, Halo, obviously the Halo is quite controversial when it come out. And you've just mentioned Grosjean. I've got Grosjean written down. That saved his life. Are you a fan of it? Obviously, being fans of the sport, obviously it's taken that, let's say, jeopardy or the death element out of Formula One, which is a good thing. But Halo was you on board at the time? Because I was against it. I must admit, I was totally against it when they brought it in. But as soon as the Grosjean incident happened, I'm all for it. It's fun.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, just before it came in, when they were showing like the concepts of it and stuff, and the concept cars, to me, growing up watching Formula One from such a young age, it didn't look like a Formula One car. I thought it was going IndyCar, that type of way. I'd say after the first year, not even that, I looked right past it. And now, I mean, to me, it's just a feature of the car. I mean, they've perfected it as best you're going to perfect the Halo and how slim it's going to be and whatnot. But to be honest with you, now, no, it doesn't bother me whatsoever. I mean, it's saved probably about 6 or 7 drivers' lives, hasn't it? I mean, Hamilton would have been one of them. Leclerc's one of them.
Yeah. Hamilton, Leclerc, Alonso, Grosjean. Like you say, it's literally saved countless lives.
And I mean, the thing is, as well, unfortunately, I mean, that death element is still always going to be in the sport. You look at Hubert, Spa or Rouge. So, I mean, that death element's always going to be there in the sport, no matter how. I mean, Grosjean was probably seconds away from it, to be honest with you. It would have been instant, minus the Halo. So, yeah, do you know what? To be honest with you, I like the Halo now. I can deal with it. I think it's a good thing it's there. But it took a few months to get used to. That's for sure. I certainly was a skeptic to start with, 1,000,000%.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think to like some of the support races with Billy Monger and everything like that, obviously that wouldn't have saved him. However, the jeopardy in the sport is still there because it's motor racing. We've kind of, when you go karting, you get told that motorsport is dangerous. So, and they're like 30 mile an hour. So when you're doing 220, there's always going to be that element of
1,000,000%.
So
1,000,000%.
So yeah, what else have I got? So is there any bad memories you've got of Formula One? Is there anything that, like, obviously a lot of people kind of, especially at the minute, lose interest in the sport, or it's gone too this way or too that way? Is there any times that you thought, I don't know if I'm enjoying this anymore?
Nah, I mean, I love the sport. You get a couple of races where you think to yourself, oh, I can't believe I've got up early to watch this, or but that's like any sport. I mean,
Monaco every year, basically.
Monaco every year completely. I mean, a great build-up, great little spectacle, but yeah, I mean, it's procession, isn't it? The only one thing that's killing me with Formula One just a little bit, and again, keep on going back to Vegas, it's just, I just don't want it to get too Americanized, and that's my slight concern. I mean, fair play having tracks in America. I mean, Miami, it's all right, but the grid walks infuriate me. Yeah. People are there that haven't got a clue. They just want to be there for the sake of it. I mean, how awkward did it look with Sainz, Russell, and Hamilton in the back of those Bentleys going back? Yeah. And it's just like, and Terry Crews. Everyone loves Terry Crews.
Yeah.
I was just like, unless it said 9-9, I wasn't interested.
No. He had no clue who Carlos Sainz was. It could have been a mechanic in a red suit, and he didn't have a clue who he was.
Guy, he wouldn't have had a clue. But no, I mean, I love the sport, and you love the sport, don't you? And it is thrilling.
I would say the lack of safety cars this season hasn't been great.
Yeah. Bear Marlander's had such an easy run of it this year, hasn't he?
I'd love to know what he's picked up money-wise to do nothing.
Yeah, and whose budget that's come out of. Maybe not Red Bull's buffet fund, from last year. But yeah, it's a bit awkward this season. We haven't had many safety cars, really, have we? And I can't honestly put my finger on why, because normally you've got, like we've said, we've got certain drivers on the grid that love a crash. But it's just weird that
I'm first driver's ability.
Yeah,
you are right with the odd one or two, but I do genuinely think over the last 5, 6, 7 years that the quality of the drivers, minus Mazepin, maybe the odd bit of Stroll and Latifi and the odd one, and Sargent, the quality of the driving is just unbelievable. I mean, to be able to do what they do in the wet on certain tracks and not even ping it into a barrier, I do generally think it's just down to the genuine ability of the race drivers.
Yeah, I think when you look back at the seasons, I think there has been like the odd season that hasn't had a safety car. But yeah, you're probably right, because there is a lot of drivers now who are they get in and just drive. I mean, Liam Lawson, that kid's had a couple of different cars this year, and he seems to jump in and become straight away. So you're right, it's probably, they're all athletes as well now, aren't they? Whereas back in the old days, there wasn't. The fitness wasn't there. Now they do all this training, they're fitter, they're probably drive faster without it hurting the bodies or fatigue. So yeah, you probably hit the nail on the head there. That
reliability. That's the other thing as well. Reliability is probably its optimum at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So
I'd probably the reason why that has been eliminated.
Yeah. But like you say, we just want, with no safety cars, we just want these interesting races, don't we? We are getting them. Brazil was very good. Vegas is kind of 50-50 for me. I prefer it more than Miami. But this year was very good. Obviously, last year we was in Vegas when they were setting the track up. I had nothing to do with undoing all the drain covers. I can honestly say that now. Nothing to do with me. Yeah. But I actually think the track's quite good. I think the layout's quite good. I think, I've been to Vegas a couple of times, and to drive down there at 220 miles an hour must be amazing in a Formula One car with all the lights of the hotels and stuff. Miami, I'm 1,000% behind you. I think it's an absolute pointless race. The charge, somewhat ridiculous to go to it. It's not for a Formula One fan. You and me are probably never going to go, because it's just not for us, is it? It's for the elite.
Definitely not. I mean, there's some really good tracks out there. Kuala Lumpur, Turkey, proper race tracks, that have Hockenheim, they're tracks that, you want to see on the calendar. You don't want to see too many street tracks, with, it's all about PR and sponsorship, isn't it? Miami's not there for your racing fan.
No.
That's toxic and exercise, for the elite, or the more wealthier fan, or like you say, who's willing to pay the most money to be able to host a Formula One race, really, isn't it? That's what it's ultimately down to, and that's why, unfortunately, Vegas, Miami kind of get a rub of the green.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think it's kind of, we've got Miami, we've got Texas, we've got Vegas, we've got 3 in America now. Leave it at that. Please no more. And unfortunately, due to Liberty and the owners and the chairman for the FIA, that's getting quite a lot of stick at the minute, it seems to be driven by, well, let's be honest, Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
Where's the most viewers? America, probably. Right, let's take more races there.
I mean, it's going to be interesting now that supposedly there's going to be an 11th team in 2026, isn't there? It's going to be Cadillac, General Motors.
Yes. Yeah, that was announced yesterday, was it?
I think, something else. Yeah.
Considering they all didn't want it, I mean, Cristiano was straight on Sunday saying, well, we aren't paying for it type thing, typical Cristiano. But I think God, there used to be 20-odd cars on the grid. There used to be 22, 24, 26. So why shouldn't another manufacturer come in? Because it's great for the sport.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, like I said, definitely bring 1 or 2 more teams into it, and kind of, it'd be nice to go and see maybe like a Porsche or somebody try and get in there as well. I know Audi are taking over, obviously, Stake or Sauber. They're going to be Sauber Audi, aren't they, or something going forward. But, it'd be nice to go and see maybe like another independent. I mean, fair play to Haas. I mean, they've done well considering. I know that, they don't build a lot of their own parts, but they take a lot of parts, especially from Ferrari and whatnot. But I mean, they've done well this season, and I mean, going back 4 or 5 years ago, they had a belting season as well.
Yeah,
with Grosjean. So definitely, it's good for the sport. And again, a couple more cars on the track might mean a couple more incidents as well, which is always better.
Exactly. Yeah. I just think, like you say, 20 cars. I suppose I've not been lucky enough to go to a Formula One race, but I suppose 20 cars on the track sometimes it feels a bit deserted. So you've got room at the to get a couple more on, and like you say, Audi's coming in, Ferrari's obviously there, Mercedes is there, Red Bull are going to get their own powertrain, so they're going to become obviously, I think, help with Ford. Is it?
Ford, yeah.
So I mean, that's what you want, isn't it? It's the pinnacle of motorsport. You want all these big names in because, let's be honest, Formula One for me has always been that technology comes back down to your road cars, and I've always been interested in cars. So I want to see that. I want to see this power and technology and everything.
Well, it's nice to see Toyota try and get back. Well, kind of be in there with Haas as well as. I know they're obviously not giving them a power unit, but they're going to be there for technical, aren't they?
Yeah.
And other bits and bobs. So, I mean, again, that's an old team from the past to come back into the sport, which is good to see.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
like 10, 12 years ago, you used to have like Marussia and like Lotus and Caterham gave it a go. But I just think the 10 teams in there right now have got the monopoly of the sport, and the buy-in fees are high. And ultimately, they're not going to want to go and share any winnings or any of the pot with another team, with an 11th team over the 12th team, especially the ones like Williams, Haas, Stake. The teams that are battling it out for that extra couple of £1 million a year.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So we're kind of at this point. We're kind of got a few minutes left. So what we'll do is we'll take a quick break. So for anyone listening and watching, we'll be right back after this break. Stop recording.
Hey, you. Yeah, you that's listening right now. Thanks very much for tuning into this episode of Straight to the Apex, the Formula One podcast from CookieCast. If you're enjoying this episode, why not like, share and subscribe? Whilst you're there, feel free to check out some of the other podcasts that CookieCast has to offer. If you like football, we've got a football podcast. NFL more your thing? Then the Laces Out podcast is for you. Maybe even a little bit of the wrestling? Just look for the Getting Over podcast on CookieCast. Maybe you want to listen to Andy's Darkest Timeline. It's there too. So, the F1 boys have probably got themselves a drink. It's time to get back to the action.
Welcome back, everyone. It's me, Mark, and I am on a bonus episode of Straight to the Apex podcast on your CookieCast network, joined again by Anna and Dean, who have decided to come back. I've not scared them off yet, so thank you for staying.
Not just yet.
Not just yet. Well, I've got a few more questions yet, so you might not come back. So, present drivers excluded, have you both got a favourite F1 driver of kind of all time? I'm going to guess at Dean's. Michael Schumacher?
That's the one indeed.
Oh, I knew it would be. Anna?
Kimi Räikkönen.
Finally, a choice I agree with. Well done. Well done. I mean, totally, yeah. Great, both great drivers. I think, Michael just... I am a Lewis fan, but I still think Michael Schumacher is the greatest driver of all time, definitely. And Kimi, just Kimi. Exactly. What else is to say about Kimi? It was Kimi. Yeah. Would you change anything in Formula One currently? Any of the rules, any of the regulations, anything going on? What kind of really grinds your gears and pisses you off about the sport?
God.
Like, I would change the points mechanism, the point scoring mechanism of the sport. I would say from 20 to P1. It's maybe, you're still your 25 for first, 18 for second, 15 for third. But then after that, bunch up the points a little bit more. And then, so if you are P20, you get a point, P19, 2 points, and so on forth. And just so basically, when maybe 75%, 80% of the race is done, you've still got something to race for lower down in the grid, which wouldn't mean much to Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes, and really mean anything to their title as such. But then also on the same token, it could do IE with a Sergio Perez, which is having a shocker. He would still bring a few points to the constructors. But then also, I think it would maybe have fans to give him a second team, or certainly to give him something else to watch. If it's a bit of a mundane race at the front, which it can be, and then you got P13, 14, 15 absolutely battling it out. If it's for a couple of points and, you're seeing that league table, there's a lot of jeopardy for them with a couple of £1 million per position, the finish of the season in the league. I think that's one thing that, with Formula One really, really, could benefit from, really.
Totally agree. It's like you kind of said off air, like if you're 11th, means nothing to you. So you retire the car with a problem, and then you can get a fresh set of gearbox and engine, etc. It would give, I suppose, a big jump for like Williams would go from 10th to 6th if they got a couple of points here and there. So yeah, I'm totally on board with that idea. Anna, anything you change?
Well, obviously it will be changing about not getting the point for a fastest lap, but I disagree with that. I think it does make it more exciting at the end of the day. The drivers go into the pits to try and get those softs on to go as fast as they can, and why not? Well, why not?
Yeah, I feel like that should be its own separate championship, as daft as it sounds. I kind of think that them getting the fastest point for the team and them is a bit stupid. Like, we kind of said off air about Sergio Perez. Red Bull kind of pitted him, put him on softs the other race, and damaged car said, go steal a point off Lando, which was never going to happen because he had half his front wing. But it's almost like they should have their own championship. Why should the constructor get that? So I do kind of agree with you. I think that, we should keep it in some kind of guise, but to get rid.
Bad, isn't it? I mean, like you say, Perez having a shocker out the points, nothing to lose. Again, what's him finishing P12 to P18? All he wants to do is spitefully pinch a point off, his rival. Where again, maybe both our points, our ideas together or points together would be, in a nutshell, if you was getting points from P20, upwards, the fastest lap would still be useful, but you'd think twice about it as well at the same time. It's, you might think, oh, is it worth me losing P12 to finish P17, go and get one World Championship point? It's not going to happen.
No. I like both of them ideas. Obviously, me and Anna support teams that have got world champions driving for them. Unfortunately, Dean, at the moment, you haven't. For now, until next year when, Mr. Lewis himself comes and wins a championship for you boys.
Yeah, that is one thing that I'm petrified of next season.
What, in winning?
And as a Michael Schumacher fan, people have said this to me before. Would I want to see Lewis Hamilton win a world championship at Ferrari? Now, as much as I want to see Ferrari win the Drivers' World Championship again, I don't. Ask me in 6 months' time. I'll come on in 6 months' time when Lewis Hamilton's absolutely, had a stormer of a start of the season.
And you'll be smart.
But at the moment,
I'll lend you my top.
But I'm slightly concerned at the moment because I would hate to see him take, the crown. Well, I know not so much anymore, but to outdo.
Yeah. It doesn't. It doesn't fit. Like Michael Schumacher's championships almost was like it was more hard work because there was less points available. So I kind of get that. It's kind of going to taint Michael's legacy because Lewis is in an era where, let's be honest, he had an absolute dominant car when he went to Mercedes. It was a gamble that he went to Mercedes, but he had a dominant car. He obviously saw what was coming. We always have quite a discussion on the podcast about the current drivers. So obviously we said that the reason there's no accidents is because they're so good. But to win a championship, you've got to have that extra. And we always kind of have this debate about the drivers on the grid that you think have got that extra. So obviously, Dean, and you being a Ferrari fan, currently you've got Leclerc and Sainz. Would you say either of them could win a championship? Because I think Sainz could. I've got my doubts about Leclerc, as I feel like over a season he's got a crash in it.
Yeah, with Sainz, when he came to Ferrari, as much as I like him as a guy, and he's a nice fella, and he did well at McLaren to a degree, I never saw him being a world champion or even pushing. Now, the last 6 months, when he's realised that he's getting kicked out of Ferrari for Hamilton, all of a sudden he's been racing his ass off.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think Sainz has got the potential to be world champion. He's got the potential to be a fantastic number 2, like a Bottas or a Perez, or a Coulthard back in the day, and get plenty of podiums and bring plenty of points in, not a world champion. Leclerc, maybe my slight bias there, as much as I love Leclerc at the moment. I think he has, and I think the one good move with Hamilton coming to Ferrari will be he may rub off on Leclerc a little bit to kind of keep his composure in areas and not make silly mistakes like when we was kind of doing, kind of somewhat battling for it at Paul Ricard and he loses it, or at Azerbaijan bins it at the castle section. Silly mistakes which a world champion cannot make. You need to be perfect throughout the season. I'm slightly biased. I'm going to say Leclerc's got that potential, but if by 2027, 2028, he hasn't had a season of at least where he battled it to near the end of the season, I would say ship has sailed. I think he's got another 2 or 3 seasons in him, and I think Ferrari will stand by him for 2 or 3 seasons. But, likes of Oliver Behrman and the other young drivers coming through, I don't think his time will last forever. I'm going to remain hopeful.
Okay. So, Anna, obviously you've got Max Verstappen, 4-time world champion now. Should have been 3. We won't talk about 2021. But obviously Perez. If Max Verstappen decided I'm going to retire tomorrow, will Sergio Perez win a championship? Do you think he's in that bracket? Or if Max did retire, is he a driver that you'd bring in where you'd currently and you'd say you'll win a championship for Red Bull?
No. Not at all. I think, I like you say, I see him a bit like a Bottas as like a second driver. He's very good at that.
Yeah.
I don't know, he just, as much as I like him as a driver, I think he's a great guy. He seems really nice and all things like that. I just don't think he's got it in him anymore, unfortunately.
It's been a bit odd. He's been kind of, I don't know if it's the pressure environment that Red Bull have put on him, like with Dietrich Mateschitz and the other guy who's in charge. Like, is the pressure got to him? Because some people can't handle that. Because at the beginning of the season, he won a few. Last year, Perez was on fire for half the season.
Well, I mean, Helmut Marko, or if you want to call him Dr. No, Mr. Evil. I think he's been wanting Perez out since. I mean, I had a rumor since Catalonia. He's been for him to go. I mean, he holds no prisoners. I mean, look at Albon and Gasly.
As Perez has lasted this long, if I'm totally honest with you, I can't believe he's still
sponsorship.
Yeah,
is the reason why Perez is there. I think slightly a little bit of loyalty from 2021 because he had the season of his life there.
He did, and he won Max. He helped Max win that championship. You're right. Yeah.
I do think there's a slight little bit of loyalty there, and I think he's always just done enough to be second or third in the Drivers' Championship, win the constructors easily, mainly by Verstappen's points, obviously. Yeah. But I do think the one big thing he's got is the sponsorship, which is going to help pay Verstappen's wages ultimately when he's on £100 a year or whatever he's earning right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've been done for the budget cap. We mentioned that, but yeah, without that money from Perez, it probably wouldn't get them obviously what they've got. But if there was a driver, then if Max, like I say, retired now, because he does threaten it quite a lot, which driver on the grid would you be confident that step in that Red Bull and win the title? Is there a driver?
Well, we had a discussion, didn't we? Because we were saying how well Colapinto was doing at one stage, but then we also said when like Albon or Pierre went to Red Bull and the stress was too much and it didn't do well for them, would that be the same thing for Colapinto, considering he's still okay? I honestly think Sainz would do really well there.
Right, okay. I mean, he was great again in Toro Rosso with Max, to be fair. He was kind of in or around him. And then they took Max. So do you think that Sainz, put him in the Red Bull car this year, do you think he would win the title for you in place of Max? Do you think he's that consistent a driver?
No, but if you took Max out the situation, it's definitely going to be better than Max.
I would definitely say minus Hamilton and Verstappen obviously being ex-world champions. I would, if Verstappen did go, obviously Hamilton would probably do a job. You can't deny that.
Yeah.
Fernando Alonso.
Really?
Fernando, I think if Fernando was number one at Red Bull, yeah, definitely. I think at the moment, look when Aston Martin had that slight bit of pace. He was up there and he was in the mix, and if anything, he was ballsing up for Ferrari, getting in the way of us. With Red Bull. Now, obviously, I know their car's gone backwards a little bit, and see what happens with Adrian Newey in 25, 26. I think Fernando Alonso's still got something about him. He's got that. I think he's got that skill and that edge and that technique. And I thought, you never know. If you can get the car right, I think he's got one more world championship in him. If the Aston Martin and Adrian Newey can pair everything together.
I mean, Tony, who obviously co-presents his podcast, he can be bought. Let's put it that way. So when Alonso and Aston Martin had a bit of success, he went out and bought an Aston Martin cap. He wore it for about 4 weeks, and then we've never seen it again. So he's now got a second one in place. I think Alonso is probably in his heyday one of the most complete drivers I've ever seen. I think he can drive a shit car and get some decent points. I'm not convinced about Lando. Like, as a championship this year, I think he's absolutely bottled it. Don't get me wrong, McLaren have made some mistakes, swapping him and Oscar. I just don't think George Russell will never win a championship unless he gets a car that's 4 seconds quicker than everybody else. Because I don't think he's, like you say, you've got to have that edge, haven't you? You've got to have that extra 10%. People like Max, Alonso, you've said possibly Leclerc.
Well, I'm saying that on a bias, but I think with the Norris thing, I'm glad you mentioned this. I think he's too wishy-washy Norris. I really don't think he's got that killer instinct.
No. Oh. I think we've lost you.
Instinct. I just don't.
Sorry, it cut off then. Carry on. Sorry, yeah.
I don't think he's got that killer instinct as Norris. I don't. He's got the ability, but I just don't think he's got that fact. Like you say, like Verstappen, Alonso, even Hamilton. Vettel. I just don't think he's got that absolute killer. Cut. Where he will get elbows out. He's a bit too. Yeah.
I think Piastri has. If Hamilton retired tomorrow, I would go to be a Piastri fan. I've said this quite a lot because there's something about him that, he's managed by Mark Webber, who was always a number 2 driver, but he's got that. It's almost like Mark Webber went through the shit and the terribleness of Vettel and being a number 2, and has give Piastri that ruthlessness to be, no, you look after yourself. And I think this season, he'll be great.
But going back to Mark Webber, multi-21, and when he was getting his elbows out with Vettel, Webber had the ability. I think Red Bull kind of pinned him down a little bit, really.
Oh, God, yeah. 100%.
You are right. He was second fiddle to Vettel, which you do find, I guess, sometimes. But I think you're definitely right with the Piastri one, though, with his tenacity and his ability. And he's shone through over the last 2 seasons or so. I do agree with you where he potentially could have more chance than Leclerc in the right car. Not just yet, but he may do.
Yeah, I think he's
Ferrari, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think you put him in a Ferrari, I think he would be constantly up there. I think McLaren were bit out of it at the beginning of the year, and they've kind of developed fast and they've had a very good car, but all their eggs are in the Lando Norris basket at the minute. So I think Piastri's kind of been a bit like Webber, like you've just said, a bit like pigeonholed and held back. But give him a couple more seasons, and I think he'll be a real contender in a good car.
Definitely.
But out of them, we struggle to find another driver that would probably win a championship. Is there anyone that you can think of that's consistent? If all the cars are equally the same, is there any one driver that you think, do you know what, in a decent car, he'd be good?
No, I mean, your Hamilton, Verstappen are a different league. Your Alonso's probably in there with them. And then you're in a league of probably your Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, probably Piastri. I mean, you're never going to see Ocon or Gasly go for it. They've got the ability, but have they got the absolute ability? I mean, I always think Hulkenberg's been done unlucky. I mean, I know he's never had a podium or anything, but he's certainly got some form of ability, but not to be world champion.
Yeah.
I don't really think there is, to be honest with you. I think the rest of them are kind of a bit settled just to be on the grid and quite content just to be a Formula One driver and not be a world.
I think Hulkenberg, you're right. I think he's done wonders for Haas, and I think he'll do wonders at what will turn into Audi. I think he'll really lead that team. And, you know, we always kind of talk about drivers that teams gravitate to, and like, you know, Hamilton's got that. He took Mercedes that were freaking terrible. And, you know, obviously they have the right people in the background, but he kind of galvanized that team. I think Max is that person at Red Bull, 1,000%. He can take that. Let's be honest, that car has been average the last 6 races. And Brazil, what he pulled out of the bag at Brazil was short of a miracle from 17th.
But if me and you had this conversation in 2008, and I said to you, I can see Jenson Button being a world champion, how many people would have laughed?
Oh, I would have done. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
And this is the other thing. For example, let's just say Juan Zhou, for example, or Bottas. I'm not saying, but actually, let's go with Juan Zhou.
Yeah.
If you put him in a car that was 2 or 3 seconds faster than everybody else's, he's probably going to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying Jenson Button was that ability back then, but you know, that it's sometimes unfortunate with the sport it's if your car falls to be, you know, the fastest or sussed out the regulations or the loopholes, you're already on what. Sometimes that ability you've got, you don't need it.
No, you're right. I mean, there's a rule reset in 2 years. If Audi come out with an absolute fantastic car, Hulkenberg could win.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So Abu Dhabi, you're both going.
Yes.
So are you, obviously, have you booked this through like a company that deals with this sort of thing? Have you booked it yourselves? Are you going out on the Thursday or Friday? Tell me a little bit about your trip.
Well, you booked it, didn't you? So
yeah. So there's
I know bits.
There's a company in Sheffield called they're called like Altitude Luxury Travel, but they have like a secondary business or whatever called GP Traveller. We've booked our own things before with Silverstone and Hungary. We've done that on our own back, bought our tickets, flights, hotel or camping or whatever. And with GP Traveller, what we did was basically get in touch with the guy there, which has been all around the world and been to all these Grand Prix, so he knows everything about them. And in a nutshell, you kind of have about 3 different pricing schedules of hotels where you want to be. Maybe an hour's coach journey away, half an hour, and somewhat on track, or even on track. And we basically just say, like, this is the budget, you know, what can you do or whatever. And ultimately, it was, to be fair, it was as simple as that. It's, we want to do Abu Dhabi, and what he does is he gives you the price of the tickets, sorts your flights out with Emirates, chauffeur driven from the airport to the track, and it's literally as simple as that. You get your itinerary from him, and you know, and then if you want any optional extras, which we've been lucky to do so, and get into the main grandstand as well, opposite the pits. You know, you can add on extras if you want to as well, or you could just kind of divvy it down. It's completely up to yourselves. But it was, to be fair, it was unbelievably simple, wasn't it?
Well, to be fair, a couple of our friends went a couple of years ago to Abu Dhabi, didn't they? And they didn't stay on the hotel on Yas Marina. They stayed a bit off. Yeah. And the only thing was that, the taxi transfers were quite a way away, so it was about an hour.
Yeah, they lost about an hour and a half of the day at least.
Yeah. We're saying like they go to the racetrack, do the bit in the day, but obviously they do like concerts and things on the night, so they'd be reluctant to go back to the hotel, freshen up to go back to come back. So it was quite a nice thing to be like, oh well, if we can get a hotel on that island, then we can just walk there, because that's the benefit, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I'm
lucky for that. Just so it cuts that little bit out.
Yeah, the way we've done it is like Anna's just mentioned, we're on Yas Marina. We're a 10-minute walk away from where we need to be in the main grandstand area, but obviously we can walk around anywhere on the track anyways.
Yeah.
And the Thursday will consist of pit lane walk. So we're eligible to walk onto the track, walk down the pits. You know, if we're lucky enough to see anybody, fantastic. But you see a few of the teams do pit stops, and just a bit of mechanics inside, filling around, and other bits and bobs, and just to be walking around in the pits and being amongst it, really.
Yeah.
So that's the Thursday for us, and obviously Friday's the practice.
Yeah.
And so on forth.
Nice. That sounds amazing. So, I mean, obviously, a shout out to the company you use. If you listen to the podcast, we'll have a sponsor.
Oh.
That's all I'm saying. So we're here. Hello.
We lost you there a second. Hello.
But no, it's that sounds really amazing. Another thing you've done is the F1 arcade experience.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, did it in London, didn't we? It was brilliant.
So I booked it for his birthday because I think there was 6 of us that went down in total. So you book it beforehand. I think if you do 4 or below members, then you kind of just race against each other.
Yeah.
But if like 5 or more, 6 or more, then you kind of race in teams.
Right.
So that was funny because I mean, Dean, Dan, Ollie, really good at it. Me, Haley, Laura, absolutely awful. Really can't do it at all. But I did beat Dan, so I was quite happy with that.
Well, okay.
But because they pick the races for you, you can just choose what kind of level you are, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then you just race against each other. So it was good fun.
Amazing. I mean, I took Katie go-karting once. Let's just say she crashed. She was then in a mood because I lapped her and didn't stop to see how she was because I was winning. And she's never done it again because there's no power steering on the go-karts, and she was like, I just don't want to do it. So, but on a F1 like simulator game, I'm not sure how she'd do. But
honestly, the simulator's fantastic. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. I mean, I was just on. I've got a simulator upstairs myself, a Fanatec setup, and seat and everything. And I'm in a bit of a league with a few of the lads. And honestly, like I couldn't recommend. It goes to the F1 arcade's brilliant in itself. Using their simulators. Have a few beers. It's fantastic. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of fun.
They also have games where obviously you've got to kind of press the button as fast as you can, or
response games.
The response with the lights.
What we see the drivers doing everything. Oh wow! Yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing. So if there was one place or city where F1 currently isn't, where would you choose?
As in like an old track, or just we could pick anywhere in the world?
Anywhere in the world. Don't have to be a current track, don't have to be an old track. Literally one destination that you think, do you know what? I'd love to see a race there.
Ibiza.
There won't be much driving, let's be honest.
What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly.
Well, Lance Stroll might drive in a straight line if he's had a few drinks.
I mean, why not make a track in the Balearics? Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I mean, Africa keeps getting talked about, doesn't it? Obviously, there's not been one there for quite a while.
South Africa. South Africa had one, didn't it? A long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. Obviously, Lewis is pushing that because he's African.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be good to see if it was there, I guess. I mean, it kind of opens up another avenue, doesn't it, for them? But, I mean, for me, if you want to bring old tracks back, you want Hockenheim or Paul Lumper.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Something like this. You want proper racetracks bringing back, even Turkey, when they brought Turkey back during COVID.
Oh, we had some of the best races.
It was fantastic. Mandy Cause in France, another great race, which, is a shame. I mean, I'm a bit old school, so I mean, I love old school racetracks. I don't mind the new street tracks like Azerbaijan and whatnot, but yeah, bring back a couple of the old tracks, definitely. Yeah, I think it would be my say. What about yourself?
Well, I like the Ibiza idea, I must say.
It's not for the Formula One, is it, you two? Let's be honest. You're going for the drink and the parties.
I was quite intrigued because didn't they mention Madrid?
Yeah, they're bringing Madrid, aren't they?
That's it. Yeah. To be fair, Madrid should be a good one. I mean, Valencia was a bit crap. It was around docks, wasn't it? So Madrid, yeah, that's a good show actually.
I think what they're doing is with the Madrid one is that I think aren't they going alternate? So 1 year's Madrid, 1 year's Catalonia.
Yeah.
Because it would be a shame to lose Catalonia again, a proper racetrack.
Yeah.
And this shouldn't be lost from the calendar.
No.
But yeah, Madrid were really good actually. I forgot about Madrid coming up.
No, that's a good shout. So I think we're kind of getting to the end. So, I mean, thank you ever so much, both of you, for joining me.
No problem.
I would really like you back after Abu Dhabi, if that's okay. I want to literally hear all about it. Unfortunately, you're not getting to see a title decider.
Constructors.
Well, constructors, yeah. I mean, I would love a video of Christine Horner crying. I mean, that would absolutely make it for me that weekend.
I'll get it for you, don't worry.
Thank you. Because Ferrari will be champions and Lewis will be in the top garage, so we'll all be all right. And as long as Christine Horner's about fared, and he just crying a little bit. But no, really appreciate you guys joining me. Hope you've had fun. Hope you've enjoyed it yourself.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Not a problem. Thanks to Andy at CookieCast for always having us. So yeah, until I do another one, I'll see you guys again.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Thank you.
So there we go. What do you think to that? Fantastic. I'm sure you agree. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for listening. Big thank you for being here. If you want to be more involved or you just want to help the podcast out, like, share, subscribe, comment. Those are the big ones. Click a like. Share the podcast around. Subscribe if you already haven't. Leave a review where you can leave a review. There's a variety of different places that will accept reviews. Leave one. It helps us out. And check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button. And that way you can get in touch with us. That is it for this special episode. Bonus episode. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And until next time, I want to say bye. And I'll see you then.
You've just listened to another episode of Cookie Cast. Thanks for listening.